Well, do you remember when we first met?
You know, it was just such an easy relationship right from the start. I was 13 at the time, and my dad had recently started dating again after being widowed, and I was thrilled that the woman that he was dating had two girls that were my age. I'd always wanted sisters, so to me it was great. You know, I was disappointed we never actually got to live together, because our parents just dated for 25 years.
So I think we met when I was 12 or 13, somewhere in there. And your dad was single, recently widowed, and he started dating my mom. And what is it, like 30, 40 years later? Something like that. Here we are. So I've always thought of you as my stepsister. I remember really looking up to you when we were teenagers. And then our connection got a little more complicated.
Yes, it did. My parents had always told me, when you're 18, you can go and apply to get non-identifying information from the Children's Aid Society. So when I turned 18, I put in my application. They contacted me, and you have to actually go in and have an interview with a social worker who goes over the information with you. They also explained that there was a program at the time where you could apply, and a private investigator would actually look for your birth parents on your behalf, and the government would pay for that. It was about a 5-year waiting list. So I put my name on the list, and about 5 years later, they ended up, because of budget cuts, they cut that program. Ontario ended up opening their adoption records June 1st of 2009, and you could apply to get your original birth certificate and identifying information. I got a letter in the mail on Christmas Eve. I opened it up and saw that my birth mother's name was Orleen Adele Goodwin. Didn't have a lot of significance to me, except for the fact that Goodwin, that was your married name. So I thought that was perhaps a coincidence, kind of curious, interesting, but didn't really think too much of it. And we were on our way to a family gathering, so I decided when I got there that I would give you the paperwork to look at and see what you thought of the name coincidence.
Well, it just didn't make any sense to me, because to me, I knew Orleen didn't have any children, so why would her name appear under the section birth mother? Like, that just made no sense at all. And it was over the next few minutes that it took me some time to process and figure out, like, oh my gosh, Orleen is your birth mother. It's just that none of us knew, or I didn't know that she had a child that she had given up for adoption.
In case you lost track of all that, here's how it happened. My mother was single, and she met Pam's widowed dad, Ray Nikiforik. They've been together ever since. I got married to John Goodwin in 1990 and later divorced in 2005. John's dad is William Goodwin. William's sister is Orleen Adele Goodwin, and it's her name that I saw and recognized next to the words birth mother on Pam's official adoption papers. That makes Pam a first cousin to John, niece to William, and cousin to all three of my children. What are the odds?
You know, 10 minutes after opening this paper that I thought would just be the start of my journey, the mystery is suddenly solved. I know who she is, and you know who she is, and you know where she is. Surprised, shocked,
Yeah.
that extremely happy. It just kind of stuns you for a minute that could happen so quickly, that my life was going to expand and change because I'm finally going to know about half of my heritage, which, really had no information about that at all.
Well, in my mind, because it was still sort of taking a moment to process, and I really thought it must be some crazy mistake that her name was on there. The address sort of solidified for me that it wasn't a mistake, because I knew Orleen had been, she was living in the upstairs apartment, and that was the address of her mother's house. So I knew that was accurate. It wasn't a mistake. It was accurate. She had to. That's when it kind of dawned on me that she must have had a child that she gave up for adoption, and as it turned out, that child was you.
I am actively looking for my birth father's side of the family. I don't have a lot of information. I do know that my birth name, Rhonda, I was named after my father. His name was Ron. And I know that he was from the Windsor area, and he was 19 years old at the time that I was born.